Hey guys, Dr. Kori here. Welcome to your Monday Motivational Mastery session. Hey, today I want to give you a few tips for navigating difficult conversations. I see so many of my clients struggling with the emotions that are typically associated with relationship stuff and this impacting their goal pursuits and how they're moving into the actions that they know will be generative and get them closer to those outcomes that they're really striving for. So, today let's really dig into how to manage conversations that don't feel good and that you may be anticipating not going so well. So, in a previous session, we had discussed how the people in our lives can be mirrors for us. And what I mean by that is that their responses to us and how they act or behave can literally show us how we impact them and how our behavior and our responses or reactions influence them. Also shows us kind of how we show up or aren't showing up and what we might need to take a closer look at about ourselves and about the dynamic of the relationship. Here's your tip. I want you to consider how often in these conversations you might put up a wall or turn away or defend against what the person is saying or doing. When instead, what you might need to do is to open up and adopt a bit of softness. That doesn't mean you're going to be bowled over. It doesn't mean that you're submitting. It means that you're going to respond in a more appropriate and effective manner, okay? What might happen if you actually put your defenses down and considered how what the person is saying might have a grain of truth? This is a question that you can ask yourself. It's not a question that people who are defensive typically ask themselves in conversations that are hard. Or if you watched that person's reactions, could you do so in a manner that they become signals for what's occurring in their internal worlds? Okay? What happens out here becomes a cue for what might be occurring in here. Okay? Here's an example. When a child is upset, okay, you might view that behavior as aggravating or disrespectful. Okay, you parents know what I'm talking about. Can you instead remember that, and this can take practice in the moment and when nothing is occurring, but can you remember that these little people are not adults, okay? And they don't have the words, nor do they have the emotional regulation skills to moderate their behavior or express to you through language what they're experiencing and how they're feeling. They can't say, "I'm really disappointed right now, Mommy," if they don't have the language or the ability to do so. All they know is that what they wanted, they didn't get. Okay? But they're not even necessarily cognitively thinking that. Their nervous systems are in a place where they need you to be the model for an effective response. Okay? You guys are the adults. And so can you, in situations when the intensity is rising, be the model for how to lower that through breathing and sitting quietly and not being the adult that ups the ante, okay? If a child is upset and you start getting upset, guess what happens? Everyone feels more threatened. It's going to go nowhere or somewhere not great fast, okay? Another example, if your partner shares with you how he or she is feeling, and say he expresses something like this: "You're being selfish." Can you get beyond those words? Okay, scrap the words. Those 3 words? No. You get underneath them. You dig a little bit underneath them. And you listen to what he is really conveying. Probably something like this: "I feel dismissed and inconsequential in your life right now." So my question to you is, would hearing that statement, and that statement is something that you come up with through the skill of getting underneath the words, okay? Would hearing that statement open you up a bit and help you find the space where you can ask what maybe your responsibility is in the situation? Not all of it, not 100% of it, but there's some of it. You're in a relationship. It's never one-sided. Now, what we're looking at here, and I've talked about this before, is process versus content. The content are the words. You're being selfish. The process is the dynamic that's going on between the two of you when those words are conveyed, okay? And often it's the process that breaks down when one or both of you decides to abandon a position of listening to understand. I had a conversation with a client just today, and what the crux came down to was being able to drop the defenses to get to that space that both people in the conversation have something to contribute. That this person I'm speaking with has something that they know that I don't. We need to go into every conversation with every person from that perspective to learn to truly understand, whether it's about them or us or both. So what does it look like if we stand in that space of listening to understand? Well, let's answer that question. Inside, what it looks like is us acknowledging that we have some level of responsibility in this. Okay? Inside, what it looks like is we are actively, deliberately, and consciously concentrating on the internal world of the other. What is their experience? How are they feeling? What might be the emotion that's occurring for them? Not necessarily on the words that are coming out of their mouths. Okay? Inside, too, we are recognizing that a difficult conversation is more than that. It's actually an opportunity, okay? It's an opportunity to know one another on a deeper, broader level. If we can stay undefended and to begin to know ourselves better and how we tend to respond to another person based on how we react to things. Okay, where our vulnerabilities lie. If my partner said to me, "You're being selfish," I'm probably going to get triggered. That's something that I've heard before from other people, and it's hurt really bad. But triggered, guys, doesn't mean that we have to react and defend and fight. We can notice what that triggering feels like and respond more effectively. Again, it takes practice. It's the noticing and observing piece that is really imperative here. Now, what does it look like on the outside when we take that space of listening to understand? Well, it looks like this. Thank you for sharing this with me. Can you help me understand more what that's like for you? Okay, you're soliciting more information. You want to make sure you've got it right. Okay, outside, it's not arms across your chest in this very closed body position, like you have to protect yourself, okay? That conveys a lot. If you actually have to protect yourself, guys, and we're talking about the possibility of physical abuse, then that's an entirely different conversation, and this stuff doesn't apply, all right? But outside, it also looks like this. Speaking firmly but gently, very much paying attention to the tone you're using, and you do your best to show up as the partner, as the friend, as the family member you would want the other person to show up for you. I hope this helps, guys. Tips for navigating difficult conversations. Get in that space of listening to understand and getting underneath the words to focus on the process rather than the content. Have an awesome week.